再来看两条时政消息。
国家副主席李元朝今天在北京会见英国48家集团俱乐部主席斯蒂芬·佩里。李元朝说，发展中英关系符合两国人民根本利益，中英两国经济互补性强，合作潜力巨大，希望两国工商界发扬60年前突破经贸阻力的破冰者精神，立足长远，抓住机遇，培育互利合作的新增长点，为扩大两国经贸合作、促进中英关系深入发展做出新贡献。佩里表示，48家集团愿顺应世界经贸自由化趋势，继续以破冰者精神推动英中经贸合作向前发展。
It is a really great honour to be able to be here and be a part of the Young Icebreakers inaugural event in China.
The 48 Group, drawing on a long history of trust and respect with China's leaders, continues to evolve its ice-breaking tradition of promoting understanding and relations with China. After 60 years, the icebreakers have inspired 3 generations. This leads me nicely to our first speaker, Jim O'Neill.
Over those 11.5 years, the Chinese economy has gone from $1 trillion to 8.3. When I joined Goldman Sachs in 1995, China's economy was 350 billion. So you guys are, what's that, more than about 23 times bigger than when I joined Goldman Sachs.
The 48 Group, of course, which is British, but it's got 60 years of history, and with it, very importantly, an enormous amount of respect from the highest levels of Chinese thinking and policy. I've been at events with the 48 Group where top Chinese policymakers have been honoured to have been invited to events by the 48 Group, and there's not many people in the UK that are in that position, so I think it's quite special in that regard.
The next 30 years will be about the need to mobilise capital to develop China's competitive advantage in terms of labour quality, and to move China's economy beyond the so-called middle income trap to a less labour-intensive and more capital-intensive economy, with really higher value creation per unit of both labour and capital.
China has a long-term plan, unlike most countries. It has a plan through to 2030, 2050 to be a developed nation. It tends to go through phases that it has planned to go through. As it approaches those phases, it tests different ideas as a result of research that it's done internationally.
Sometimes I compare China to a comet. You know, a comet has a tail. If you don't understand the tail, you'll never understand the comet. And we understand the tail. We understand where these policies come from over 30, 40, 50, 60 years. When the Chinese talk to us, our understanding of where this comes from isn't just to look at it as of today, but to understand where it's come from and where it's going to.
The plan is actually to double GDP and GDP per capita, or individual Chinese people wealth, by the end of this decade. And if that happens, China's economy will be $16 trillion or more, or about the same size as the US today. And on the average Chinese individual, if there is one, will be worth about $12,000 to $13,000 per head. Close to the magical moment where you will, in classical global terms, be on the verge of escaping the so-called middle income trap.
I remember when PRC was just founded in its infancy, and there was a very difficult time because of the geopolitical situation in those days, and this icebreaker had the guts and the vision to pave the way for the bilateral trade relations between UK and China. So it's a wonderful institution, and we appreciate it very much.
how do you see the future business prospect in China? And are you going to invest more in China or less?
Foreign companies that invested here purely because of the low wage advantage are not going to find China so attractive anymore. But I would describe that as part of the natural evolution.
If you were to ask me what is the specific biggest issue today that probably people are discussing in China, it may be how do you get the agricultural areas to take the form and shape that they need to take as you move people off the land and you move to large-scale agriculture, a problem and a challenge we've had in Britain, America and every Western nation. But you might also ask the question as between state-owned enterprises and private enterprise.
I think the 48 Group can play a huge role in influencing people's experiences and thinking of how to behave in terms of cultural exchanges, because 48 Group, having had 60 years of experience on the ground with senior people in China and taking people back and forth, obviously understands the complexities, I think, rather well, probably better than most, if not all, that I've come across. And I think they can play a unique and very helpful role in trying to help educate people in order to help themselves to do more business. And I think the 48 Group has got a huge role to play in that regard.
When we say icebreaker, we certainly refer to the past when we need somebody, some institution to break the ice, to initiate a kind of bilateral relationship or multilateral relationship. But we should understand that the job will never be done because there are new ice congealed under some very tough conditions, and we will continue to break ice.
Really what's unfolding now in people's minds is this recognition that something incredible has happened in China in 30 years. They've transformed their country. They've moved 500-600 million people off the countryside into cities. They built the high-speed train faster than anybody in the world. They've got roads covering China that were never there. They are involved in the creation of a civilization that is absolutely unexpected. The Chinese are transforming the whole process of taking people out of poverty and creating a modern developed economy. And nobody in the West has any idea what that's going to look like. And it's not difficult to find out. The Chinese will tell you if you ask them. If you listen to what they say, they're going to transform from this agrarian peasant economy to an economy which is probably in advance of anything anywhere in the world. Well, you've got to be pretty capable to even begin a task like that. What does it mean? It means that what they saw in 1953, when they looked into the history, into the science and civilization history of China, they saw the depth of Chinese capability.